I used to quite like the Metro. Was an amusing little rag you would pick up on the bus while you were travelling to work and would have some fluff here, a tech piece there, but generally was an entertaining read. And then one day I wake up to this new breed of Metro article. Maybe the website has always been like this, maybe I just haven't been on a bus in so long I just didn't see it happen, but now they post crap like this. Bad times.
Remember that old saying, the more I know, the less I understand?
If this is any indication, you must be omniscient, because you understand apparently nothing. Let's dive into this shit show, shall we?
If you've studied, or travelled, or merely survived past the age of about 19, you'll know what I'm getting at. I add kisses to the end of my emails and texts. Is that sexually inappropriate?
What, like X's on the end of a message? It's supposed to be a sign that you care about the person. If you think it's sexually inappropriate, ask yourself this. Are you trying to fuck the person you are sending these kisses to? Do they want to fuck you back? And do you, for whatever reason, think that tapping a key a couple of times is going to help you achieve that goal? And hell, if it does, then your intended fucky was probably into you so... Well, you see how this could go round and round in circles forever? Maybe you should just stop trying to bang every bird you talk to, mate. Especially stop trying to bang your mother. I know you send her kisses, you filthy little pervert.
Whenever I presume I've mastered any discipline, say making friends or sports betting, life inevitably socks me in the kisser with a giant sloppy nope, and I'm yet again floored by my own boundless ignorance.
I am sure we are about to be floored by your boundless ignorance, mate. So flawed, the world is going to turn into one giant turn down for what music video.
Except that is, in the one area of life I feel I understand only too well. To wit, the more I learn about men, the more I'm convinced we're all f***ing dreadful.
And there it is. I present typical projection of the male ally who is in fact a horrible, horrible individual. Well, I'm scum, it must be all men. Sorry fella, no, it's not all men. It's not even most men. If it were, the world would be a very, very different place. No, you are one of the minority of awful people. Enjoy your specialness.
First and foremost, of course, for the obvious reason. If #MeToo taught us anything, it's that men always want to get their dicks wet. And the only thing holding us back is that we, usually, aren't powerful enough to just get away with it.
No, it didn't. That might be your interpretation, but it just proves what a shallow understanding you have of people and men in particular. Me, I generally don't give much of a shit about getting laid anymore, now that I'm older. And even when I was young, I was much more interested in getting into a relationship and having sex. Yes, I know. Gay! But the fact is, most guys I know are far more interested in having a partner than just banging random chicks.
Give a man status, he'll generally assume it's his right to push his luck.
Then why haven't we seen this shit as an absolute epidemic with men that have status? Because I don't know if you've noticed, status means a lot of things. So literally millions of men have status of one form or another. And even if you just count so-called high flyers or what have you, it will still be tens of thousands plus. And yet, we're seeing relatively few of these cases come up, even with women and some men calling out this stuff, which, if it's true, they totally should, but it's still tiny numbers in the grand scheme of things. It's almost like the vast majority of men aren't doing that kind of stuff. Weird.
Like practically all my friends, I used to bloody adore Louis C.K.
The best thing about the Louis C.K. one is it came off as super pathetic. Seriously, it was totally in character, to the point where a lot of people kind of weren't surprised. Louis C.K. asks women if he can jerk off in front of them. What a loser. Also, doesn't mean he's still not funny, and let's be fair, those comparing him to actual rapists are being frankly ridiculous. Was it an abuse of power? Debatable. But they could also leave at any time, and he was not climbing all over them according to what I've read. Still not defending it, because like I said, really, really pathetic stuff in my book.
I identified with his coal-black humor and unvarnished candor because I see and cherish those aspects within myself.
I'm pretty sure you're not even remotely funny unless this article is a giant troll. Then you might actually be a comedy genius. But I doubt it.
What else do we have in common then, I wonder?
So you would pathetically jerk off in front of women. Okay. Can't say that's ever been something that crossed my mind, because you see what a normal person does. If they want sexual release, they go out to social places, bars, singles or otherwise, and then meet people. If that doesn't work out, you go home and jerk off to porn and try again next week.
My takeaway from #MeToo is that however erudite or successful or smart a man is, underneath we're all just grimy little king bonobos.
That's your takeaway. That's what you want the reality to be, because that's what you are. And you have to project that onto everyone else, lest you realise what a horrible little piece of shit you actually are.
The only difference is some of us can, just sometimes, control it, and the majority of us can't.
Go fuck yourself, buddy. Your insane buggerlust is not a reflection of men in general. It's a reflection of you and your disgusting little brain. Go seek professional help. It's sick little fucks like you that barely contain their bubbling desire to make me legitimately fear for my baby girls. I have no problems controlling any particular sexual urges because I'm not a hair's breadth away from jumping on the next female I encounter at all times of the day. You sound practically psychotic.
I wish male dreadfulness was but a minor embarrassing subset that we could roll our eyes about and blame on Trump.
You and your mates, whom I can only assume are just like you because goddamn every male you interact with seems to be a monster apparently. Perhaps you met them all at a how not to rape seminar that you needed to control your indiscriminate boner. You are the subset, and you existed way before anybody gave a shit about Trump in any way, shape or form.
If anything, that prick is the poster boy for it. He embodies the unbridled male id, the ultimate self-serving specimen.
You really gotta get those Trump digs in about anything other than his policies, because legitimate criticism is bad. You have to do everything to make yourselves look like the bad guys. You know, the bad guys you legitimately are.
Bet you anything he would have ditched his third trophy wife by now had he not accidentally been crowned the snarling priapic alpha in whose shadow we all cower.
Contradicting yourself in 5, 4, 3.
Anyhow, he might even destroy the world. And for what? A dick measuring contest with another high-status blowhard.
So what is it? Are we cowering while they put us on the brink of annihilation, or are they blowhards? You don't get to have your cake and eat it, mate.
Ever notice how few women have ever been involved in nuclear standoffs?
Well, aside from the absurdity of Trump's New Year's tweets, which, let's be fair, barely constitute a decent Twitter spat, let alone a genuine nuclear threat unless you're a hyperbolic crybaby. Wow, you really do have a lot in common with Trump, don't you?
Or fights in general?
Clearly, someone has never been out on the town at night in London and seen a couple of coked up skags try to literally tear each other's skin off. At least with men generally, we are trying to win the fight. Women want to cause long-term physical, psychological, emotional harm. Shit's scary.
Women can be dreadful too, sure. But all the truly cancerous issues facing our world can legitimately be blamed on men.
Did you know that false rape accusations are men's fault? Or they're not cancerous? I guess, or both? Probably. Also, apparently women aren't part of or leaders of any organisations that are doing negative things in the world. Only men have agency, you see. Women just sit there helplessly watching as men that they have absolutely zero power over destroy the world. Fun little fantasy you've built for yourself, but it needs a little more nuance like that pesky little reality thing.
And I genuinely find this hard to write because I'm not in the slightest self-loathing and most of my heroes are men.
Maybe you should have more self-loathing. I know I do, and the worst shit I ever did involved stealing off my parents because I was a dickhead as a teenager. That's probably a big part of what makes you so awful. You recognise that you are a monster, and instead of internalising that and trying to become less of a monster, you go, oh well, if I'm like this, so must everyone else be. So I don't really have to do anything other than token gestures and constant projection. That'll make everything alright. Then I can go back to jerking it in front of strangers with a clear conscience, knowing I've done my part in spreading the blame for a minority of men doing bad things to all men. I'm such a fucking hero.
I guess my point is, we can do better.
You could, but you won't. I'll just continue not being whatever it is you are supposed to be.
Possibly, maybe it would help if men characterized their inborn douchiness as some sort of addiction problem or mental health issue.
Jesus Christ, being a man is now a mental disorder. Do you even hear yourself? Next, you'll want them to wear pink triangles or something and send them off to special camps. I hate to say it, but I'm starting to think internalized misandry might actually be a thing.
Sorry to be a bore, but right now I'm about a fortnight into dry January. Already the longest I've gone without a drink since, 1998.
Don't worry, mate. You're not being a bore. Listening to the gibbering conspiracy theorists at a party talk about how women are made of sand isn't boring, it's just horrifying how layered and in-depth his delusions are, and that no matter how much you can demonstrate that he is categorically wrong, he is so out of his goddamn mind you might as well be communicating in moonspeak.
Doing so has made me more clear-eyed about my own issues. Among them, an unforeseen strain of what you might call toxic masculinity.
I absolutely hate the term toxic masculinity, but I do think it honestly applies here. You are definitely a toxic male who happily admits to being awful and thinks the best way to deal with it is to blame everybody but themselves.
Maybe if men took a similar self-care approach to our native awfulness, laying off the twattery for a month, we might learn some powerful truths.
If I went without a drink for a month, I would probably feel a little bit healthier and be infinitely more stressed, as I have scarcely enough time to sit still on a week, let alone legitimately relax, and alcohol is my one outlet. And I think the only powerful truth I'll end up coming up with is how I can work so hard only to have some little dipshit like you write a scummy article about how every man like me is actually secretly sex Hitler just waiting for the Dick Reich.
Don't be a February has a nice ring to it, eh?
I'm gonna go with Don't Be Andy Hill Lifetime. This one is just for you, and you've got a lot of work to do, buddy. Everyone else who's normal can just carry on not being you. Sounds good? Great.